Hey everyone, Genome here, coming to you with my next episode in my How to Fix series for Marvel Strike Force. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about a much maligned character, and rightfully so, but one that has kind of like a, I hate to say cult following, but kind of a cult following in the comics, and that's none other than Bullseye. His representation in this game, while probably more accurate in the power level scheme of things, is woefully inadequate, and he has never been meta.
This will not stand.
You know, there's bad characters nowadays like Quake or Crossbones who at one time were meta. Bullseye never was, and that just shows you how bad his kit and how bad he is as a character. So I have got some proposals here on how to fix this guy. And, you know, none of these is going to make him, you know, Kestrel level. Heck, it might not even bring him close to the meta at all. But, you know, it's time he gets a little love. You know, any of the first 2-year characters at least, and maybe even almost 2.5, they're all going to suffer from lack of stats. There's nothing I can do about that. Basically, you could double all of their stats, and they still really wouldn't be in line with where the characters are nowadays. But, I mean, that's the first and most basic thing for every character that's going to be on this list, is just double their stats. I mean, at least double, maybe triple in some cases. I'm not even kidding, like with health and things like that and damage, because they're so woefully behind, and they can never be meta again, which really limits theory crafting. You know, a lot of that's, of course, intentional, so you just buy the newest, latest, greatest. But a lot of players like myself, who don't care about the current meta that much, would love to be able to experiment with other characters. And, well, Bullseye just needs a better kit, so let's work on that a little bit, shall we? Starting off, before I even get started, Bullseye has a pretty storied history in Marvel Comics, and he's actually graces one of my favorite comic book covers of all time. That's from Captain America number 374, I think it is? Yeah. 374. It's like one of the classic hero apparels. If you notice the side too, that's kind of a throwback here to the whole Elektra thing, like him killing her. So it's kind of cool. Also, I have a signature from Ron Lim here, from another. This is like my favorite Cap saga of all time, by the way. The Streets of Poison was an amazing 6-book read. I highly recommend anyone who's never read it to check it out. But anyway, let's get into what makes this character so bad now and what I would do to improve him. So Bullseye, yes, his stats are hideous, and all of his attacks do nothing but damage, and there's a few modifiers, but really, for a character who relies so much on damage, this is pitiful. He gets a little bit, and I mean a little bit, of use on the Mercs team in War D, but even then, he's usually dropped. He's just not good. Got a good character design, and you can see how bad he is. I've never bothered hitting the rank up button like I do on so many characters in this game, which is a shame for that next star. So let's talk about his basic first. It's a basic attack, doesn't need to do too much, you know, and it's got a modifier, whatever. It hits like a freaking wet noodle, but whatever. Only thing I would change is just apply a bleed. He's throwing a knife, so maybe he's going to cut the opponent, and he's going to bleed a little bit, right? That's it. Just throw a bleed on there. Give it something. Every basic needs to have something nowadays, and you know, his is no different. And considering how often you're going to be using it, you want it to do a little extra something, right? His special. I got a few ideas on special to change it. First off, this chance to bonus attack is ridiculous. It needs to be 100% chance to bonus attack every time this ability is used. Also, to give it a little more utility, I decided to kind of give him the kind of the Ultron treatment, but I think it kind of fits him a little bit thematically because he's known for taking out bodyguards in the comics, right? So this one would actually be more in line for almost like a mini execute move for tanks. And aside of the 100% chance of bonus attack, if the target has taunt or defense up, it deals double damage. Something simple that makes this pretty mediocre special at least somewhat decent if you get into that really bad spot where you're stuck behind Drax or Red Guardian. Not so much Drax, he doesn't really get defense up unless his Groots around there, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, just give him a little something. You know, he takes out the big bruiser types. He's fought Crossbones, as you saw in that cover back there. And he goes after some baddies out there, so let's give him a little extra on his special attack. It's probably still not enough, but it's better than it was. Some of the other big changes I want to make to this guy is to his ultimate. Oh, this is so ridiculous. It starts out with no energy, takes 4 turns to get going with his minuscule health pool. You'll almost never see this attack go off, man.
It sucks!
Alright, this thing needs to be 3 energy. And I'm going to have it start with 2 energy. And here's what I would change. Right now, I mean, if you max the T4 on it, you're going to get 550 damage, plus a crit bonus chance and damage increase. Okay, that's fine. Leave all that the way it is. But to tack onto this thing is called Kill Shot. Let's make this a freaking kill shot. I want to give this attack a 50% chance to kill the target. And this attack ignores death proof. So no, you cannot hide. Now you can get away from this ability. For one thing, it could miss. Or at least not do... It's still going to do the damage, but you might not kill the opponent outright. But you can still get stuck behind taunts and that sort of thing. So this is not like 100% kill all the time. Far from it, but man, it would make this thing so much better. And at 3 energy, he's still so weak. You'll probably only see this once a match if you're lucky. But round 2, you gotta start thinking about this guy, and especially if he's on like a Mercs team or something, because you're always, you know, do I go for Right Guard? Do I go for Merc Lieutenant? Do I go for Taskmaster? You know, usually 3 mains right there. Well, now Bullseye has to be considered in that situation because of this. It's a kill shot. He's an assassin. Make this thing hit hard. As it is, you almost never see this, and when it does hit, it's just not that strong. It's really not. You won't kill a minion with this. Like in anything above U6, you're never gonna kill a minion with this at full health. Nope. Lucky if you're getting 50% of the health off there. So, and that's if you got a lot of resources cranked into this guy, which almost no one does. So yeah, just make this thing 3 energy. It starts off with 2, 550% damage, plus the increased crit chance and crit damage, and add on to that 50% chance to kill the target. And this attack will ignore death proofs. So nope, you're not safe behind those death proofs, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, let's talk about his passive. Some changes here for sure, because it's so bad. Yes, it can somewhat protect you from blind, but it's not enough. Like, think like Heimdall. That's a protection from blind. That's a good one. But it makes more sense on Heimdall since he's sort of like a demigod, whatever, right? You know, and has some mystical powers too. So in Bullseye's case, I would just make it to all teammates have 50% resistance to blind. So it's like, hey, it can still stick. It's still got a higher percentage, like as opposed to like Heimdall or whatever, but it's something, man, because a lot of the teams he's going to be on are going to be almost straight damage teams, and you can't afford to be blinded. One Magneto can shut you down permanently, you know. Also, this might be, well, also I want to add on to that, that Bullseye is just immune from blind, period. Forget this accuracy stuff. Just make him immune to blind. He never misses. He's like, if Hawkeye can never miss, Bullseye should be in the same boat, right? Because they're both equally skilled in some ways. Some ways Bullseye is more skilled because he's not just using arrows, bows and arrows. He can throw playing cards. He's spit teeth before. I kid you not. He spit a hollow tooth into Crossbone's eyes to win a fight one time, or at least escape. I think he killed somebody with a tooth one time. He's thrown toothpicks. He's crazy, the stuff he can throw. So I just make him immune to blind, really. And another fact a lot of people don't know about Bullseye is he got a little bit popular back in the later 80s, and he started making more appearances. And when characters get popular, they like to do something to them, and that's reinforce their skeleton with adamantium. Well, yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but Bullseye's skeleton has been reinforced with adamantium. He's not quite as all-encompassing as like Wolverine's, because he didn't have the healing factor or whatever in that, but like his joints and stuff, he can't get his arms broken and that sort of thing anymore, because he had his back broken in a fight one time. But so he's fixed up with adamantium. So hey, that's gonna have some bearing on what's gonna happen to him in a fight, right? So I'll make it something simple. I just say he'll have a passive. It's called Skeletal Reinforcements, and he's just immune to defense down, period. So I mean, I guess you could make him immune to some other things, but it doesn't make sense because he can still bleed, he can still be disrupted and all that, but just make him immune to defense down. I mean, he's already squishy enough as it is. You don't need Shatterstar applying defense down this guy from AoE, and then him just getting nuked like crazy from long shot the next turn. It's not good, man. Just make him immune to it. That's probably not too much more I'd add to it. You could add tons more stuff to his passive to try to bring up the par. Increased damage for other assassin characters or whatever, or he should do like double damage against Elektra if you want to get down to 2 themes, or he gets bonus attacks against Bullseye, or excuse me, against Daredevil, because they're like arch enemies, you know. So just something like that. So for the passive, I would just make it teammates have a 50% chance to resist all blinds, and Bullseye is immune to blind, period. And I would have something called Skeletal Reinforcements, and that makes him immune to defense down. And that's really just about it. I mean, outside of a stat boost, that's what he needs desperately the most. But since he just does straight damage, he has so little utility, it's time to give this guy at least a little bit of utility. So make him a little bit dangerous against taunting characters or defense up characters. Give him some actually decent blind resistance for his teammates. And just give him some more survivability of some kind. You could even make, say, the Skeletal Reinforcements, give him defense up. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I just make him immune defense down and probably call it a day. But, yeah, what say you? What would you do to change Bullseye? Yeah, he... who knows what he could do with this guy. And even with everything I mentioned, like I said, he still wouldn't be meta or even close to it. But he wouldn't feel so bad. If you wanted... Because if you were... like fanboying out on him, and like I do with the Punisher, right, and level him farther than you probably should, you don't want to feel too horrendous about it. Maybe he'll see some fringe play if you can do it. So, and you can also make him like assist on basically any mercenary tag attack, not just the non-attack abilities, you know what I mean? So that's pretty complicated, but whatever. Just make him assist attack too. Give him something. But anyway, yeah, what would you do to change Bullseye? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is Genome. Oh, just loving him, his zebra uniformed villain here. Out.